All right, can I claim the clout? Is that okay? Can I claim the clout now on this? It feels like I can do that, right? Did chat get to give me the clout for this one now? It's easy, boys, honestly. We don't need TA. If the market pumps pre-futures open, it's going to shit the bed. Welcome, chat. Everyone's still alive? Everyone enjoying summer, getting away from the boredom of the markets? Or we still equally addicted to the screens? Yeah, I think it's the classic range thing. It's the classic when the discussion turns to volatility, which I've just seen probably quite a lot of in the last 24 hours. The discussions suddenly turn into like BTC volatility at all-time lows. And so then anticipation begins to rise, and we then kind of spend even more time glued to the screens because we're then anticipating this really big move that we don't want to miss out on. And the chances are that you're probably still going to miss it anyway. In terms of like where the overall correction is, are we done? Are we kind of just getting ready for a lot further down, maybe just a little bit more? We'll kind of dive into that and my thoughts on where we are. I think to kind of cut to the chase on where my index thought lies is still after this correction, it's all-time highs. So whatever happens in this period is really just a case of, I think, timing when to be a more significant buyer again and then look for the next leg up, because I still think that's the one that's likely to happen. I think this is just naturally that pause in the correction in the market that we've been waiting for, really. All right, let's go over and we'll start with, we'll kind of get the boring stuff out the way and we'll do BTC first, and then we can dive into some individual alts that are performing a little bit differently. We see metaverse stuff doing very well this weekend, but we'll start off with BTC and really just kind of like grinding to a halt through here. We had a very good day when we traded below here. This was a great BTC day of volatility. Back here on the 1st, this was a great day in terms of breakdown from this region. Huge recovery back up, tapping into and clearing the 30Ks, and then basically undoing everything that we did within reason in the following day as well. So just that classic kind of price action we've been having again on BTC, where even some of the upside moves, well, I say some of the upside moves, the majority of the upside moves, if you look at everything that's basically happened throughout this region here, ever since this and even prior to that as well, even during these moves here, we've basically seen a lot of immediate reactions back to the downside. We had one here after we swept the highs, we had one here after we swept the highs, had another one here. So basically every time that BTC starts to show some impulse to the upside, you can pretty much bet that the next day is going to be a piece of shit and just undo everything again, because that just seems to be the flavor of what BTC has basically been doing for the entire of July and now into August as well. So at the moment, any moves that we're getting that show the start of some impulse just don't seem to go anywhere. Everything looks to be kind of more squeeze based than it does any kind of legitimate up move or continuation of a trending move, and we're waiting for the situation to change on that. Is that summer stuff or just bad boring stuff? I mean, probably a combination, but then again, there's kind of been record low volume on the indexes, but we've still been performing pretty well. But here it just looks as though we've just got like a lack of interest, really. And everything that's moving higher, just as I said, looks to be squeezed. You can pretty much draw levels against everything that BTC is squeezing during these regions, taking the highs here, taking the highs here, squeezing against this rundown, squeezing against this high. Everything just looks as though it's just, squeeze and then back down into this kind of tighter, grindy PA. And this is much more similar to kind of the PA in 2019, this back and forth stuff. I looked at ETH this weekend, and like ETH is basically like carbon copy of the way that it traded in fucking 2019. It's absolute dog shit. Yeah, just garbage. So where we are on BTC right now, no real point, I don't think, diving into the lower time frames. I think, again, you can make the argument that we could go either way to kind of run some stops, whether or not we're going to try and trade down lower here into the 28s again, whether or not we're now going to try and challenge some of this 29s. I think, again, we're in coin flip territory. I still think the only meaningful chart here is based on the weekly, and lots of people have been discussing, and I still need to do this in the Haven, discussion of this divergence here. So we have got a higher high in the price action, so uptrending weekly market structure, which is a great sign overall. So we kind of lose that amongst the shit that is the lower time frame, but really good higher time frame structure still. This is still a higher high for BTC, so we're still kind of trading in and around the right areas. We still had a very good reaction to 28.5, and we've got this divergence here on the Awesome Oscillator. I don't like it as much on the RSI. Again, you can mark it. I don't think you're correct in marking it. I think you would be correct in marking the awesome oscillator one. The problem I have with this is that I think that too much price action has taken place since, and the move has been too strong, and we've seen no significant rejection, I think would be the best way I would phrase this. And the price action just mirrors everything that we've just seen previously. It's just still at a, kind of a shorter time. I think this period of time in here was around 60 days, 50 odd days for this grind, and we're currently in like 40 in this area here. So I don't think this is a div. If it is a div, then the next downside move in terms of breaking clear of that all-time low on volatility is absolutely going to be to the downside. If this is a div and this crosses over and pushes us back down, then yeah, this is going to fucking chunk down here. 28.5 I think is the most significant level you can probably still take from this region. This is the lower time frame level, and we've just been trapped under this on kind of the hourly. So this daily level here, where we've just been closing everything back above and recovered this wick down to 28.5, it's basically now where we're just trapped between on the lower time frames. And look at the last 4 hours of price action. It's an absolute joke. It's like Morse fucking code. But 28.5 is the most important, I think, level through here. It's the one that held us up here back in 2022, back in the summer of 2022. This was the hold up zone, 28.5. It's also the key significant resistance point for us in March and April. It's also the rejection point here in May, and then it was our clear breakthrough. So this for me is kind of where it has to hold. We start trading back below here again, and the RSI doesn't look great on most time frames, excluding the higher time frames. Then I think that's when we get problems. Below 28.5, I think we get problems. So right now it's kind of using different scraps of information to try and piece something together. The only thing that I think, and that has kind of been playing into my thought process through here, is if we start to see a move, I think you play into it. We've seen, these periods of like 50-day grinding corrections then resolve in 6 days of like a plus 30% move. So I think once we start to see a move develop, I think you just play into it. Like you see on this candle here, you basically suffer no drawdown from buying at the end of this daily close here. You suffer zero drawdown, and then you capture whatever you capture up here. And the same here. Even if you entered on this impulse here and you entered on this daily, you suffer zero drawdown when you get another 12% out the market. From my perspective, I'm just like, once this breaks, once we start to see momentum, whatever direction that's going to be in, whether or not we're going to challenge the upside and we're finally going to make that move, get above these highs here at 32,500, then I think you just play into it. That's the only kind of thing that I have right now. Is I don't care which way it breaks. I just think it's probably worth joining in that direction. There's far better markets right now than BTC. I think there's far nicer setups. Yeah, we'll dive into some alts now that I think are kind of in the better territory. So we'll start off with Ape, because I do think it's one of the better setup markets. We drew this a long time ago. We drew this back here, and we were talking about the potential for the triple div on Ape, and that's basically what we've got now. So we have the triple divergence. We saw a pretty strong move today, actually, and basically completely undone at this point. But I don't think this is the divergence played out. I still think we're kind of in that divergence formation territory, and I still think that this looks like one of the better markets in terms of, pitching for your alt setups. I think this is one of the better alts to be focused on, certainly from my system perspective. I think a lot of people might prefer alts that are kind of, already showing strength, already have momentum. YGG, for example, people may enjoy those alts more. For me, this is more akin to a stock market setup, an equity setup, where you've just got a really solid higher time frame divergence, and it makes sense to try and be positioning around this level in terms of trying to get a move back to the upside. And here, I've been talking about this in the Haven this week, well, the last couple of weeks actually, and we're kind of probably still, this is a 3-day chart, so you're probably 6, 9, 12 days away from any resolution or play out still. That's kind of where we are in terms of this higher time frame structure. This isn't something that you can take a position on and then expect to see the play out happen on your 5-minute chart, or you expect to see it happen tomorrow. This is still in that formation position, so it doesn't mean that this is going to move immediately. A lot of people get bored when they're trying to trade the higher time frame divergences, or they get shaken out in between. But as long as this is still holding a divergent structure down in this region, then I still think that this is a market that's worth, being a buyer of, or at least being focused on, having it on the watch list and making sure that you're checking in with it on whatever interval you want to. Yeah, and then what catalyst would possibly make Ape go up? Yeah, exactly. So, I thought long and hard about that kind of thought process. What is there that is gonna give Ape any sort of movement, certainly to the degree that I would want on the back of a divergence like this? And the answer is I don't know. I have absolutely zero idea what any catalyst could be. All I care about is that the TA shows what it shows, and therefore I should be in a position for it. So I did think about that. I was like, why would anybody buy this? Why would anybody buy this piece of shit market? But then why would anybody buy a piece of shit YGG? And then suddenly you get, over a 2x in 24 hours and that's it. So who knows, but please surprise me. That's all I want, just surprise me with it. It's fine. Just surprise, whatever catalyst it is, it's fine. As long as there is one, just surprise me. Sol. So I tweeted about Sol last week because Sol was one of the first markets to show some momentum, which I think was here. Yeah, it was Friday. So it was here. And one of the things that has kind of been very clear on Sol is that all of this hasn't had a challenge to it. None of this has had a challenge to it. So, and we can include this now in what we've seen in the recent price action. So all of these highs completely untouched, completely clean, shorts completely protected from any sort of market structure runs, any movement against those kind of, lower highs. Shorts have been on easy street through here because everything's just been protected. So if you're a shorter, this is a market where you short here, you move your stop loss down, 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 right? And you never get challenged. So anytime that we get one of these sell-offs, you just move your stop loss down. And easy protection of position. This is basically like a dream structure for any short market because you just get to basically keep on shifting your stop into profit or adding to position, whatever you're choosing at doing, and running with the market structure. Now, hopefully, fingers crossed, there comes a point where this gets blown out, because it's just an obvious attack zone. And, I really hope it's one of those situations where once you start to challenge one of these highs, that very quickly leads to the next one and leads to the next one and leads to the next one. And so we very quickly get this run up. So we tend to see this, when we saw this on Pepe actually not too long ago, where we had a very similar structure. Everything is just protected. And then all of a sudden you get a move that just wipes everything out in 24 hours. So you get 2 weeks of downtrending price action that just gets obliterated in a single 24-hour candle, and then that's it. Right? So hopefully that's what we see on Sol. Now, there were some signs that maybe we were going to start that process on Friday, where we had this move here. And the area that I kind of said that it's quite similar to is this one here. So I said basically what needs to happen is Sol needs to actually show some momentum. It can't stall, can't take its foot off the gas. And if it does, it probably ends up looking something like this one that we had back at the start of August. And unfortunately, that's exactly what happened. So the market just stopped, squeezed one little area that we had basically on the 2nd and 3rd of August, and then turned around and just retraced everything, ended up taking the lows again, and this weekend took everything from this bottom region. However, it still remains a market of interest, and that's really because of the 4-hour picture. The downside to this is it's pretty much only the 4-hour picture that provides a good look on Sol. So we've got this divergence structure down here. So what we've got is we've basically got the triple 4-hour divergence against these lows here, and we've got it on the AO, and we're now in a territory where we should be seeing a bullish reaction. So Sol really doesn't want to give up too much ground here, because if it does, this is such a bad sign for Sol as a whole. If it gives back the opportunity now at squeezing that region that we've been looking at, which is all of this, not a great look at all, because this is going to end up as a very weak crossover. Bulls are going to show absolutely no balls whatsoever, and we're probably going to end up then trading lower. This setup is also only present on the 4-hour. And so it's only present here on the 4-hour. As soon as you start swapping to other time frames, it just looks like a downtrending market. The only saving grace here is probably the 3-day. And the 3-day, I can meme the 50 RSI retest, and that's about it. So this setup is basically a 4-hour setup. It has to show impulse pretty damn soon. And if it doesn't, then again, I expect Sol's going to end up trading quite a bit lower. So that plays into our thought process on BTC, you know, that volatility being at all-time lows and where we go from there, and whether or not something like Sol, you know, depending on which direction that is now going to break. Are we going to see the upside challenge on BTC and that volatility break being to the upside and therefore Sol to follow and trade towards 26? Or are we going to end up seeing the breakdown lower, in which case this being a weak crossover on Sol, poor conditions, and therefore trading lower? Good signs on the 4-hour. You know, this sweep here of these candles this weekend was a pretty good sign, very good recovery. But like I said, now we're just in the exact situation that we were on the hourly, where you have to put your fucking foot on the gas, otherwise this is just going to end up bleeding back out. That's the deal with Sol. It always does well. It's in a good position currently, and we just need to see some actual strength or some signs of momentum and movement on this market now. Yeah, it feels like there's been so much shit happening, and BTC is still a stable coin. Yeah, I think that's probably a relatively decent kind of reality that we're in at the moment. We'll take a look at the indexes now as a little break and potentially to give us some more clarity on where we stand. I've been taking the short side of this setup on the NASDAQ. I'm still in the long position from obviously significantly lower down, but I am now in a double short position here. And this is just taken on the basis of the 3-day divergence across the highs. So this area here basically being one divergence or two divergences on the RSI. So this high, and then this last smaller peak in the price action at the end of July here also diverging on RSI. So I don't think we're finished yet. I don't think this is in a situation where I think that the NASDAQ correction is done. I do think that we end up probably clipping these lows at 14.2. This would be the area I'd love to see us take. So basically just running down on the daily, running down through these lows at 14.2, and then that's it. Then, you know, set sights on 17K and all-time highs. But the reaction on Friday, I think, was a very poor reaction. And again, everybody knows how we talk about the RSI 50 level and the reset and the retest. You pretty much got a textbook example here on the NASDAQ. And I know that somebody who was tweeting me on Friday took this exact trade because of the 50 level reset. So we got this move back up. You know, Friday we traded green a little bit at the start of the session on Friday, ended up pushing up, and then that last 4-hour candle really just crushing us down into fresh lows for the close on Friday. And so this looks like a market that is just primed for continuation. When you see the 4-hour in a position like this, it just looks as though we're getting ready for downside continuation. I think next stop is the firm test into 15.2s. And this area being a bit more significant on the higher time frames as well. I just don't envisage that the market stops at that point. I think we do get a bigger flush out here, especially with the presence of that 3-day divergence through the highs as well now. Yeah, and then this second position here was just taken as a lower time frame trade. It was taken into earnings, but it was just because we swept on the lower time frames this level. So I was actually in quite early on this and then just stayed the course, even though the original kind of thought process wasn't necessarily correct in the sweep being the end of this, and then this position taken based on the higher time frames and just being a solid point of positioning. Then yeah, same on SPX, and these are just puts on SPX that I had open from this original impulse down, and again the market kind of getting closer towards this retest now at 44.50s. But SPX had the daily divergence, so the triple daily across the highs here. You can see this run up of the series of highs, and then on the RSI those just being lower highs all the way through here. And then I think probably more worrying for SPX is the way that the awesome oscillator has slowed down through this region here into July as well. And again, we're not at the point that I would think the crossover is or a divergence has played out yet. I think we'll get down to the 44.50s, and then 4300s are probably the level that's the significant one to not lose. So take out this low here, make the trade into this 4300s, and then hopefully just V back up, and again all-time highs, 5K end of year is the dream. Am I crazy for shorting Doge? I mean, maybe only because there's better markets to short. There's better markets to short because the problem with Doge is that We saw it on the last reaction when Elon tweeted about payments and Doge ended up trading higher. So the problem that you have is that, you know, like Elon doesn't even have to mention Doge. He just has to say something to do with finance, and Doge is like, yeah, okay, that's good enough. That's a green light to go up. So I just think there's better markets to be short on. There's markets that have less chance of you getting blown out. I think Doge is still one of the better markets to try and just be positioned on the long side. It's basically like a long only market, I think. And what you're looking for is, yeah, I think this is actually a decent setup on the higher time frames with the daily reset here. And we're trading down to the level at 7.3s, which were a resistance point for us, and now look to have flipped into support as well. So, you know, if you want the short, if you're desperate to the short, I'm not necessarily, you know, sure it's best being short here from a TA perspective. I think if you lose 7.3s and therefore you do get the crossover, then it's a far better short setup. You need that additional confirmation. But again, one tweet is just going to fuck you up. You know, that's the unfortunate side of Doge here. One tweet is just gonna end things for you. I think there's a lot of markets that look cooked. I think there's a lot of shit out there that just looks as though you can easily make a very strong bear case for it. I think you can do the same with BTC. You know, you just meme into existence the weekly bear div on the AO and you say, yeah, it looks like a piece of shit. And if it loses 28.5, then it's going to zero. Yeah, I think there's a load of very, very bad kind of bearish scenarios out there. It's crypto, isn't it? You know, once everybody starts agreeing on the fact that everything looks like a piece of shit and it's all going to zero, then it's usually when the market starts ripping higher, and then that's it. I think I'd rather be a Pepe holder in terms of meme bags for kind of next big cycle run anyway. I think that's probably the better option. I think it will capture a fresh audience again. So I think Pepe is still the better kind of meme bag holding. And I think the Doge is really just relying on Elon a lot at this point. I think the masses, the normies will pick up on Pepe in a far bigger way than Doge in any future cycles. And I think that Doge is way too aligned with Elon right now in terms of what feels as though the life link it still has is tied to Elon, and whatever Elon says or does in the future feels very much kind of what is keeping Doge ticking at the moment. I think Pepe has a lot greater chance of just having that one of those huge organic price movements because of like a fresh wave of meme-seeking buyers. LDO looks like dog shit market. Hourly looks like it's going to roll over. 4 hour looks like it's going to roll over. 12 hour looks like it's going to roll over. Daily looks like it's going to... Right, you get the picture. So market now, this is probably the low for LDO, but every time frame, basically from the 1 hour through to the 3 day, looks as though it's going to impulse the downside. CRV, there's honestly, Chester, there's no point checking CRV. Like, honestly, there's no point checking CRV. There is no TA on this planet that is going to get you to a decision on CRV on whether or not you want to be a buyer or a seller of CRV. When you've got a market that is so driven by an event that's happened and all of the stuff that's going on in the background that the average Twitter user is not privy to, there is no reason at all to look at a CRV chart. And for the majority of people, there's simply no reason to even consider being a buyer of CRV. Like, it's pointless getting sucked up into the entertainment and the drama of what goes on and trying to trade that market, honestly. Unless they're offering you the same deal at 40 cents, in which case, yeah, sure, join everybody else and hop in on that. Apart from that, fuck them. They're doing deals that are helping ensure that the man gets to keep his house. Very nice house it is as well. All right, so here we go. Market moving now. How much do we bet on full retrace by the time futures opens? Maybe not even going to get that far. You know, maybe this is it now. So I think you just bet full retrace. Honestly, I think you just bet full retrace by futures. If this continues, if this does another candle up here, then I think you just bet full retrace and then it ends up doing this pre-11. Yeah, it looks like Doge is liking the BTC move. I think higher time frame Doge is really good, honestly. The 4-hour picture, you know, isn't even too bad as well through here again, and we can just meme some levels to try and facilitate the fact that we want to buy Doge just in case Elon tweets. That's all I'm basically doing. Anytime that I'm drawing anything on Doge, I'm just like, yeah, I'll draw a level here because if Elon tweets, it's going to go up a fuck ton. So, you know, I'll just create TA out of thin air just to try and support the fact that I want to be a buyer on here for visiting the upside. And I've already bought spot Doge as well. Like, I'm already that hooked into the narrative that I'm just like, exposure is better than no exposure. Switch long on Doge. There we go. Bottoms in. Do you tend to short or long more? Long significantly more. In crypto, yeah, sure, it feels great. You know, those days that you get like some horrendous bloodbath day where everything's double-digit red and, you know, it feels great shorting. The problem in crypto is that it just makes so much more sense to just position long. Like, the gains are ridiculous. And you only make those sort of gains when you hit the upside trades. You know, like, upside is infinite and your downside is always capped. So it really makes no sense to be shorting the market more than longing the market, because even shit like YGG, you just have to time it right once and you're going to eclipse everything that you can possibly make shorting. So for me, the markets are like, I think the vast majority of people should really only be long only and should just focus on premium long setups and getting better at longing the markets, because that's where the money's to be made. Your trades this year are absolute bangers. My trades on traditional markets were, like, I've been rinsing traditional markets. I think I've hit 4 2Xs in the last 3 months there. You know, I hit the Nvidia calls into earnings for the ridiculous money. So traditional market stuff has been far more successful. And even just playing traditional market crypto stocks, you know, that's been far more successful than playing into crypto itself. You know, Mara, Riot, Coin, MSTR has significantly outperformed BTC. Significantly so. Like, not even comparable. It's like 2x the performance of BTC in like 2023. It's ridiculous. You know, the same with Mara. As soon as the market moved, Mara just put in a 2x, and, you know, BTC barely put in like 10%, and Mara literally ran 100%. ETH looks bad, man. ETH looks bad, which again is probably a low, but ETH looks pretty fucking poor here. Maybe the saving grace is that ETH has actually run lows through this region. Otherwise, it's 1750s. But I think lower time frame ETH, I think you're just watching what happens when this gets taken out. So if they do this and then back below, then probably GG. Do you think the normal markets, the legacy markets, will crash, as some people are predicting? No, I've been a big bull of the traditional markets for a long time. So pretty much, I don't know, what are we approaching now? I started maybe end of Feb, realizing that my short side thesis for 2023 was definitely not going to play out, and switched into the bull side. And then the last 3 months have been aggressively long in the markets. So I've been long on the NASDAQ for a while now. And yeah, I still see fresh all-time highs for the indexes. So I don't think they're going anywhere. I just think that, you know, you take a look at an Apple chart. We'll just quickly deviate away from this BTC chart. But just take a look at an Apple chart and on the daily. You know, like, this is 2023. So when people are talking about a crash, the sad thing is that people have been talking about a crash on this market since here. This is the start of 2023. Right? This is 2023 here. And that is what Apple has done in 2023. And every single month through here, every single week, people have been talking about this market being, you know, bullshit. How can it be going up? It's all going to crash. It's all falling down. And here we are at all-time highs. So, you know, this scenario here where you get into that thought process, I unfortunately, well, I say unfortunately, I just don't believe it. And I think that you're at the point now where, if there is a big correction, or this is the macro top of traditional markets, then the doom callers have missed out on so much value that it doesn't matter now. It really doesn't matter. So, you know, it's like they've been fundamentally wrong for 7 months, and that's it. You know, that's it. Their thought process is cooked. They've missed out on all of the value. You know, like, look at Meta. Like, it's a joke. 268% up in 2023. 270% up in 2023 with a chart that looks like that. Like, what's your maximum downside here? What's your maximum downside? You know, you're not going to outperform that. You be as bearish as you want. You're never going to outperform that. And then, of course, we know the bull market's not over until Monster dies anyway. We know that this is the one that has to die before this market's over. That's the one that when this bull run from 2003 comes to an end, then that's when the market's over. But until then, we're fine, you know? So just bring on the 20-year bull market and we're fine. But right now, this market feels dead in comparison. It also sucks to be buying right now. Yeah, and that's the thing is, you know, we have got these higher time frame divergences. I still think that, you know, there's still the wonderful thing about equities, and, you know, we're here as a crypto stream talking about how great equities are. But the great thing about equities is the fact that you don't have the same level of correlation. So you can have markets like AMD on the at the tail end of this week that perform very well in the face of the other markets doing very poorly. So you don't have that huge correlation effect where, because BTC is down, every other market is down and alts are just down double the value. Whereas in kind of the equity side of things, you get far more outliers to that kind of universal kind of correction. So there's far more markets that still see strength even though the indexes might be red. Where are your pension funds allocated? Ape and Solana? Oh, Jesus. We never are retiring. What do we got now? 35 minutes until the open. Do we just take the BTC short now? We just start hitting into it and just let the narrative play out that I spun for myself here? The inevitable retrace by futures open. Do we have to play into that now that I've said it? We either get like blown out, or we take we get the clout. I know, what do we do? Fuck it, let's play into it. Let's just say fuck them. You're gonna jinx my short. Yeah, probably. Using RSI also for the traditional market TA. Yeah, very, very easy RSI use on traditional market stuff. Two setups here on the higher time frame that are just very easy. RSI on an awesome oscillator on RIVN on the 3-day produced a 2x move. So really nice triple div setup on the weekly here. And again, you got the 100% move really, really easily. And the same with NEO through this region as well. So good divergence both on the awesome oscillator and the RSI on the weekly time frame, and ended up producing another 2x. So super easy markets, just look for divergences. You had another big one through this region as well. Very clear divergence structure on the awesome oscillator, and resulted in another very large 2x move. Oh no, the shorters. We're going to get blown out. Should I close my short now? I'm going to wait for the market to make me close my short. Yeah, I'm going to wait for the market to force me out of that position. And by force, I mean liquidate. Is your stop loss above the high? Yeah, nice try, Binance. Come on, give me that full retrace. Let's go. I've been on this account that I was talking about running up. I've been stuck on the same fucking account value for like 4 days and just consistently trading back and forth between it. It's the most infuriating fucking thing. I just cannot break this fucking barrier. Yeah, futures hasn't even opened. Yeah, it's because we expect it to happen pre-futures, right? This is probably the danger point, I would say, for the position on the lower time frames. Just given the fact that I mean, the hourly's not great. The 5-minute is at a decent point, but just because of the reset, right? This is overextension, so this is fine. You expect to see some sort of reaction from a high like this. This is back down to a level that we're kind of happy at, and that we can continue from. So yeah, I think this probably represents the biggest danger point of the position. When do you think the next top is for BTC? End of 2024 or 2025? What a fucking wild question. Like, what a wild question that is. Thoughts on Justin Sun's arrest? Well, I'm guessing it's not a real thing. If we see BTC lead the market upwards heavily, do you plan a potential BTC into ETH trade if the trading pair is looking supported? I guess that's what you're asking. I'm guessing here you're not saying, are you planning a potential BTC over ETH trade? I think you're saying a BTC into ETH trade. So yes, I think that would be fine. All right, can I claim the clout? Is that okay? Can I claim the clout now on this? It feels like I can do that, right? Is it that the chat get to give me the clout for this one now? Clout is mine. Good. All right, that's fine. It's easy, boys. Honestly, we don't need TA. If the market pumps pre-futures open, it's going to shit the bed. And this move to the downside, all right, this move to the downside is probably going to be an overreaction, and we're probably going to trade back higher. All right, so we're probably just going to end up locking in. Let's just put a random thing in for 11. Let's just say we end up here. What do you think is going to end up happening the NQ at 11? I think that I don't think it's, you know, it doesn't really matter. NQ trading hours from the open into Asia, and nothing matters until Monday US opens. So it's probably just going to end up, we'll probably dump off the open, and then we'll probably end up trading higher until the US. Man, if we get this level, I'm clipping the shit out of this. Calling the retrace and then just putting in the price point that we're actually going to open at. Holy. All right. Congratulations, bulls. Congratulations. My curse confirmed then, huh? Nice win. Green open for the NASDAQ. Yeah, congratulations. All right, so a good stream, actually, a really nice one, nice and chilled. Lots of good discussion as well at the end of the stream. So in terms of the price action, where we go next, who knows? I've made my call. I've collected my clout for the week in terms of the full retrace pre-futures. So that's it. I'm banking my win there and just leaving the rest of it to the hands of the gods. Once again, big thank you for joining me tonight. Truly, truly appreciated. It's really, really kind of you that you spend your Sunday evenings here listening to me ramble and be sarcastic about the markets. It's truly appreciated. And like I said, I hope to have plenty more content, news, and exciting things to be able to share with you over the coming weeks as well. So I'm hopefully going to be in a position soon to start teasing a little bit more of that information that I've got lined up. And let's hope that we get some sort of significant trending move again on the crypto markets to re-inject that bit of life that we're all so desperately crying out for. So have a wonderful week ahead. Thank you once again, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your evenings. Good night. What services do you offer when you sign up for your service at the Haven? Feet pics with food. That's a popular one at the moment. Loma's feet? No fucking way. No way. Man's got feet like a hobbit. 100%. Hobbit, messy, nasty feet. Why do you swear so much? I'm British. When do you think the next top is for BTC? End of 2024 or 2025? What a fucking wild question. Like, what a wild question that is. I'm pretty sure that I'm just answering an AI here. That's whenever I see stuff like that, I just think this just has to be a bot.